Welcome to the Defining Moments Black Men series of the Authentic Joe Show. I'm your host, Jolena Johnson, and it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome today's guest, Mr. Andre Holman. How are you today?
Hey, Jolena, I'm doing awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Can you tell us a little about yourself, your occupation, and your background?
Well, I am currently the station manager and executive producer for the City of St. Louis's local government access channel, STLTV, where I've worked for the last 31 years.
Wow.
And I'm currently the founder and owner of the ITV network, which is a new live streaming platform that was launched about a year and a half ago. So those are the two tasks that I carry as a job. But I'm also a father, a husband, and grandpa. so,
Yes.
uh, but things that I love, everything that I love, and I thank the Lord for giving me the opportunity to do all the things that I'm currently doing.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself?
Um, I will tell you that, people say, I'm the same person everywhere I go, but I would tell you that whether you know me from Walnut Park neighborhood growing up as a kid, or if you knew me from Sumner High School where I played football, if you knew me from STLTV or coaching Little League football at Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club, I would probably say that the one thing that people will all probably have in common, what they say about me, I would probably say they would say, "Oh, he's a guy who loves his city and is
Mhm.
faithful to God and everything that he tries to do to have an impact on the community." And I'm just a laid back guy who just loves the people that I'm around. I love connecting people with each other to make things easier for people who are trying to do, different initiatives and different passions that they have in their lives. So I
Mhm.
feel like I'm a connector
Okay.
professionally. And
Okay.
on the other end, I would say I'm just a laid back guy who just love being around people. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, if you had to pick a phrase that would be the theme for your life, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, that's a good one.
Thank you.
um, um, I would I would say my wife says this sometimes. He's his own man,
Okay.
and
We'll take it.
and and typically what she's, I think, trying to describe about me is the fact that I don't find myself following other people because of who they are or what they've achieved, but
Mhm.
I follow them based off of their character, and I'm going to be who I am regardless of who I'm around.
Okay.
And I want to be able to carry that with me. And I hope my kids. That's why I said I always try to make sure that my kids see that about me. Like my dad, he
Mhm.
is who he is, regardless. He doesn't care. He's going to do what he thinks is right,
Mhm.
and live how he thinks he's supposed to live. So yes, that's what I would say.
Okay, I love it. Well, thank you so much for that. I agree with all of that. Although I have not known you as long as I've known your wife, who we went to elementary school together,
Yes, indeed.
it has been quite a while. So this is great. Okay, so oftentimes people will say, well, what is a defining moment? So let me share. A defining moment is a point in life when a pivotal decision must be made or when an experience fundamentally changes a person. What defining moment would you be willing to share with us today?
So I'm going to be quick in giving you two different scenarios. I will definitely say um, approximately 9 years ago, after my mother had passed, my father was also ill. And this is probably like, a couple of days after my mom passed. And we really didn't know, me and my brothers, we didn't really know that our father was as ill as he was. He had hid it from us, um, but he knew he had to let us know once he went to the doctor. He couldn't even my mom and dad had been married 58 years. They had been friends since they were teenagers. And him not being able to deal with even going to her funeral, he had an
Mm,
anxiety attack. And
mm,
the next day we were at the hospital, and the doctor, told him that, his breathing, his lungs weren't doing too well. And that's when he finally opened up to me, being the youngest, I guess. He wanted me to know, like, hey, I'm not doing well, and I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here, but I want you to know that, um, keep pushing forward, regardless of what happens. Take care of your family, and keep doing what you're doing. And it was tough. And I didn't understand why he was really saying it, but, um, 2 months later, my dad passed away. And I think every day I kind of focus on him and just the words that he left. He's like, you and your brothers have made, me and your mom really proud. Keep going. Keep going. So I would say that that was probably, a very defining moment for me. And I've tried to live by that.
mhm.
Every day I try to just keep driving, keep going forward. So, um, then in 2017, my dad probably would have been mad at me then. But
Okay, so hold on one
20,
second. So what year was that
so
they
my
passed?
dad and my mom and dad, they passed in 2014.
Okay, gotcha. So 2017.
So 2017, um, here in St. Louis, I was, out and picking up something for my daughter who had left something at the Moonrise Hotel, and I come out, and, I didn't know what had happened to me, but I knew it was something wrong. I felt like an elephant sat on my chest, and I couldn't breathe. And then I just broke out in a sweat, and then I got really nauseated. And I'm like 10 feet away from my car, and I stumbled to it and get in. And to make a long story short, I was actually having a heart attack. And I could not wait for an ambulance, which my wife said, well, why don't you just wait a minute? I said, no. I said, I've never felt like this. I got to go. So I drove myself to St. Mary's Hospital, which was probably a mile and a half away. And
Mhm.
it was verified that I indeed had a heart attack. One of my arteries was like 80% blocked. And, that was a defining moment because the doctor was like, man, you got a good heart. I can tell you don't drink, you don't smoke. Your heart is in really good condition, but it must be your eating because your one artery is just like clogged. And so that just made me take a look at how I eat, the stress that I carry each and every day. Um, I just try to balance my life with enjoying life, but also doing the things that I love with work. And so that truly was a defining moment for me, in regards to, even just being here. And so every day now, I'm just excited and thankful that God has allowed me to, experience the things that I have, because I didn't have my grandbabies then. I didn't have the ITV network.
Mhm.
So it's things that I've incorporated from what my dad asked me to do, but also what I think God was telling me to do with my life as far as being healthier. And so I think those are two very defining moments for me.
And how old were you when you had the heart attack?
I was 49. I was
Very
getting
good.
ready to, yeah, I was getting ready to be 50. Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us, because I want to go back to the first one. So before we go back to the first one, can you tell us three things you did differently to improve your health condition
Oh, I wasn't working out at all at
prior
that at
to?
that time in 2017. So I've
Mhm.
decided to try to exercise 2 to 3 times a week at least. And then I drink a lot of water, which I did not know until the cardiologist told me. He said, your heart is a muscle. He
Mhm.
said, just like how you get spasms in your leg and in your arm, your hands, or whatever. He said, you got to feed that, you got to give that muscle water. And I hated water. So
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I've made an effort to do. And then, I've reduced the stress in my life. Uh,
Mhm.
I just put put everything that I have that's on me that may bother me, or I try to relieve that stress by just saying, I'm going to do my best and pray on things, and they'll happen when they're supposed to happen. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
those are the three things I think I've done. And then I mean, obviously, I'm eating better. I'm not
Yes.
eating Hardee's burgers every day, which is a good
Oh,
thing that
yeah, it was just down the street. It would be easy to do
it
because
was
it was
right
down the
down the
street. It was
street from
2 blocks from your office.
STLTV. So every day I was running down to Hampton and getting those big burgers that they always had, and not anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. So it's worked out for me tremendously. So
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. So, thank you for that. So, what would you say? So, basically, black men especially do what Andre did now instead of later. How about that?
do it now.
Do
Don't
it
wait
now.
till don't wait till you're in the ER or you're in front of a cardiologist and he's telling you that you just had a heart attack. And you're like,
Exactly.
no, I don't believe it.
Exactly. So I'm so glad you said that about water because I actually love water and I don't have a problem drinking. I drink a lot, but I'm glad you explained it like that. So now that makes sense. So people who say I don't like it, hey, it's a muscle.
Mm,
You need it to work. We know this
yeah,
spasm. That was perfect. That was a great explanation. Okay,
yes.
so let's go back to the first thing you said because I know that was difficult, but we cannot not talk about this. So do you think
Yeah.
that okay, so what did you start doing after you all found out about your dad's condition?
Well, my brothers and I, we knew that he was, I mean, like I said, being with somebody 58 years, married to him 58 years, it was going to be lonely for my dad. And so we
Yes.
we just basically took turns going over to spend time with him after we got off work or whatever. We did
Mhm.
it more than we typically would do. And so
Right.
um but it was hard because my dad was he was like, I really don't want to be here. And he just kept saying, thank the Lord. And I don't know, but it was almost like my dad knew like the Lord wasn't going to let him suffer long without my mom. He
I
kept
was
on
going to ask
saying,
you
thank
that.
the Lord.
I was going to ask you that. So, I mean, it's hard, but since you brought it up, I feel more comfortable. Um, I've heard these stories a lot where, I mean, they were each other's lives. I mean, you guys were grown and gone, but they were with each other every single day.
Yeah.
I wonder, I think people really do passive heartbreak, heartache. Like, I want to be
Yes.
with my baby.
Yeah. Man. And well, and for my dad to say he couldn't even go in, he couldn't even make it into the funeral home for the service and into the chapel. And I knew then I was like, wow, this is not going to be easy. But
Hmm.
I understood. I understood what he was saying. He was just like,
Hmm.
she has been my life.
Hmm.
Before you guys, that's who I was. Dedicated. I could dedicated my life to her, and
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, it was tough. It was tough, but yeah, people sometimes don't believe that people can die of a broken heart. But I believe it was obviously that my father wasn't doing well, but I think he really kind of gave in. He was
Yeah.
like, she's gone, so what am I going to do?
I don't think I really talked to you during that time, but I did try to support. I saw social media, and when I saw that post, I remember praying for you and your brothers
Yes,
because I felt like I'm getting chills now. Um, I mean, because you would talk to their love. I mean, we had seen it, and
yeah,
and your parents were just great together, and your dad, he had that smile like you have, and all this kind of stuff. And it was like I was like, he missed his best friend. I just
that was
and I
it.
but I understand. I mean, as children, of course, that had to be very difficult on you. At the same time, I prayed for your hearts because I was like, your dad, the Lord did what the Lord does, right?
That's it. That's
So,
it.
what I'd like to ask is, what are three things if there's a young man out here today, and maybe he hasn't had a father present in his life, maybe he was never present in his life, maybe he hasn't had a male figure in his life. What are three values or three life lessons that you got either from your dad or as a father yourself that you would share with them so that they will understand that they matter?
Mm. Yeah, I would probably say that three things I watched my dad really do, um, just as a even as a kid, but even as I was getting older and became a father of my own, a husband, and then a father. um, he was always the same. I
Mm-hmm.
remember him telling me. He said, I was 20. I think he was 21 years old, and he's like, the pipe fitters local 562 saved his life. And what he
Mm,
what he meant was, my dad had a lot of friends, and he had a group of boys that he ran with from Sumner High School as well, and they were called the Corner Boys.
mm,
That and I didn't know what these guys were until I met them. Obviously, when I'm a kid, and all these guys are professionals. Some of them are car dealers, some of them are lawyers, some of them are business owners, like leading men. Phil
totally.
Montgomery.
Yeah.
These are guys that, I mean, these are guys that my dad grew up with, and he was like, man, we had it hard, but all of us found our way. And what he meant by that, he told me that the pipe fitter saved his life because he it gave him an opportunity. And he
Mm,
said, and he always told me and my brothers, he said, when you get the opportunity, make sure you're ready.
mm,
Never be presented with an opportunity and say, well, hold on, I'm not ready for this yet.
mm-hmm.
He said, you always have to be prepared.
All
You don't
right.
have time to get prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, always believe in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what the task might be. But just know that you're gonna give it your very best, regardless of how big the mountain might be. That's what he always told us that. And
Okay.
and I think the last thing, which is uh, which he said to me when he knew he was ill, he said, always take care of your family.
Mm,
And always cling to your family. He said, you got friends,
mm-hmm.
but your family is who you can always count on. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just I just have always held those things deep into my heart, and I know he always said, just trust in God with whatever you do. And so
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that I try to live by.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, that is so beautiful, Andre. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I know it's still difficult for you today, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being willing to share these things. And somehow I know your parents are looking down and I know they are proud of you and the network and all
thank
these
you.
little grandbabies, these little cute children.
Oh, yeah,
So
I'm
I
sure they
love
are.
it. Okay, well, thank you for what you said. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share before we stop?
First of all, I just have to say thank you to you. I mean, I always tell people that platforms are so important. And what you're doing with this and giving me an opportunity to come and share my story. And I'm hoping that, there'll be somebody out there that'll hear what I've been through and be, uplifted, inspired, whatever, that they
Hmm.
might be like, man, I'm not giving up.
Yes.
There's still a chance. There's still an opportunity. And
Yes.
so I say thank you to you for giving me the chance to be able to say the things that I've been able to say today so that it may help somebody else. So applause to you. Thank you so much, Jolena.
Thank you, Andre. You've always been such a kind and wonderful person, and I appreciate you very much. And so you're welcome. All right.